The moment the truth came out, people would whisper about it for months. A single dad janitor kissing a billionaire. Not out of romance, not out of desire, but because in the span of one heartbeat, between life and death, he was the only one close enough, brave enough, human enough to save her. And this story reminds us that kindness still matters. Amir Hollis never imagined his life would look like this. At 34, he was raising his little boy Noah alone, cleaning the marble floors of the most luxurious tech building in the city. Every night after his shift, he took Noah home, warmed leftover noodles, and whispered promises that one day, just one day, things would be better. Noah always believed him. That belief was the only thing stronger than the exhaustion that tried to swallow Amir whole. That he never complained. He couldn't afford to. A single dad didn't get to break down. But there were moments, quiet, hidden moments, where he'd stare at the reflection of his mop in the glass and wonder if anyone even saw him. Because to the world, he wasn't a man. He was just the janitor. And then came the day everything changed. It was a bright Tuesday morning, the kind where sunlight fell across the lobby like gold. Amir had arrived early, humming to himself, because Noah had drawn a picture of him, cape and all, with a scribbled message, "My hero." He tucked that picture into his pocket and started polishing the chrome railings. That was when he saw her, Selena Vaughn, billionaire tech mogul, media-shy, fiercely brilliant, and the youngest self-made CEO in the state. Most employees only ever saw her on screens or during dry corporate addresses. She walked through the lobby like a woman carved from confidence, tailored navy suit, hair pulled back, eyes sharp with purpose. But that morning, something was wrong. Her steps weren't steady. Her hand gripped her chest. She tried to call out, but only air escaped her lips. And then, she collapsed. Everything inside Amir froze. Workers screamed. Someone shouted for security. Phones came out instead of helping hands. Amir didn't think. He ran out. He knelt beside her, shaking, because he recognized the signs. His father had died of the same thing. Selena wasn't breathing. Her pulse was faint, fading fast. "Come on, come back." His voice broke. Training kicked in. Chest compressions. Checking her airway. He tilted her head, realizing something was blocking her breath. He didn't have the fancy tools paramedics used. He had his hands. He had instinct. He had seconds. He lowered his mouth to hers and breathed life into her lungs. That was the kiss that would change both of their lives. She jerked, coughed, gasped, and air filled her chest once again. By the time paramedics arrived, Selena Vaughn was alive because a janitor had refused to let her die. Social media exploded. The building's cameras had caught everything. The world called him a hero. But Amir didn't feel like one. He just felt grateful she'd survived. And then, unexpectedly, Selena asked to see him. When Amir entered her recovery suite, he expected security, lawyers, distance. Instead, Selena sat by the window, sunlight brushing her face, looking nothing like the untouchable billionaire the world worshipped. "You saved my life," she whispered. "You're welcome," he said softly, trying not to look uncomfortable in his thrift store shirt. But she shook her head. "No, Amir. You didn't just save my life. You reminded me what humanity looks like." He frowned, unsure what she meant. She explained everything. The pressure, the isolation, the fear of being surrounded by thousands but truly known by none. She'd been driving herself to exhaustion, forgetting what life meant beyond deadlines and investors. "You were the first person who saw me as human," she said quietly. "Not a brand, not a billionaire, just someone who needed help." Her honesty stunned him more than the moment she collapsed. Over the next few weeks, something incredible happened. Selena didn't vanish back into her world of boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. She showed up. She spent time with Amir and Noah, not because she felt indebted, but because she felt at peace around them. She watched Amir fix Noah's bike with a bent screwdriver and a hopeful smile. She shared simple lunches with them, sandwiches, juice boxes, because she said she'd forgotten what real food tasted like. She asked Amir questions no one had ever cared enough to ask. "What do you dream about? What scares you the most? What makes you proud?" And Amir, for the first time in years, found himself answering. Then came the twist no one expected. One evening, just as the sun was melting into the horizon, Selena handed him a sealed envelope. Amir's heart raced. He assumed it was termination papers or a thank you check he didn't want to accept, but it wasn't that. Inside was a letter offering him a new job, head of campus operations. A real position, real salary, real future. This isn't charity, Selena said firmly. I've watched how you lead, how you work, how you care. I want people like you shaping this company. Amir's voice cracked. Selena, don't say just, she interrupted softly. You're a father, a fighter, a man who stepped up when no one else did. He wiped his eyes, overwhelmed. But the biggest change wasn't the job. It wasn't the title. It wasn't even the world praising him as the janitor hero. It was what happened next. Selena began implementing human-first policies at her company. Mental health breaks, emergency training, fair pay, and she publicly credited Amir for inspiring the shift. She stood on stage and said, "Compassion saved my life. Not wealth, not power. Kindness did that." The room went silent. People began looking at Amir differently, not as a man with a mop, but as a man who mattered. That a year later, things looked completely different for him. Noah had a bigger room. Amir drove a small but reliable car. He walked into work with confidence, not shame. And on a quiet evening, at a community event Selena invited them to, Noah tugged at his father's sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, she looks at you like you're her hero." Amir swallowed hard, because deep down, maybe he was. Not because he saved her life, but because he reminded her what life should feel like. And although no one knows where their relationship will lead, one thing is certain. A single act of kindness didn't just change a billionaire's world, that it changed Amir's too. And everyone who heard their story felt something awaken inside. A reminder that ordinary people can create extraordinary miracles.